My name is Richard Ogundele. I work for DFID Gems 4 project. Gems 4 is a 5-year project running from 2012 to 2017 December. Incidentally, we're going to be closing up Gems 4 this December after 5 years. We work in Kaduna, Kano, Lagos as our pilot states primarily, but we've extended to Ogun State, Jigawa State, Katsina State, and a few others. Primarily where we can get results for our activities, we're free to work there. The entire Nigerian space is our mandate. But for piloting of our activities, to get our results tested and proven, we have chosen Kaduna, Kano, and Lagos. I lead the agribusiness portfolio at Gems 4, where we work on rice and tomato.
Can you give us specific about what the operations you do in the rice sector and then the tomato sector? Do you work with commercial farmers, older farmers? So exactly specific operations that you do?
For the tomato sector, we're primarily focusing on post-harvest loss reduction for farmers to earn more margins out of their hard work. Generally, there is a poor quality of output from the farms. They don't have access to inputs, chemicals, and seeds, and they do not have any post-harvest technology approaches they can adopt to ensure that they don't lose most of their harvest. On the other hand, Gems 4 actually focusing on a market linkage, should I say, set of interventions to ensure that farmers get their produce out there to the market, and the producers, or the processors and marketers or traders can also get this produce in good quantity, in good quality, consistently. That's what we're working on for tomatoes. For rice, we are talking about linking farmers to processors. We're referring to large commercial mills here that process rice paddy into milled rice. So getting the farmers coordinated, organized, properly aggregated, extension delivery service provided, and linkage directly to the processing commercial mills, cutting out the middleman, is what we have worked on in the last 5 years on Gems 4 to ensure that both the processor and the rice farmers have a win-win in this value chain.
From working in the sector, what are the major challenges that you come across that affect productivity and profitability in the sector?
That's a big kettle of fish, but in summary, we have a production output challenge. Our output is still very low, yields are very low, the quality of what we produce is very low across the board, whether it is rice or tomatoes. 2, for crop production in Nigerian agriculture, 50% of what is produced is lost. Meanwhile, 86.4% of Nigerian agriculture is what accounts for crop production. So we need to first fix that part before talking about processing, packaging, distribution, and sales. So for me, I would say the first challenge we need to work on is to fix the production output and quality. That's what we have dealt with. But working with partners, since we don't work directly with farmers on the production side of things. We have dealt with the marketing side, but before you can fix the market, you need to make sure that the production meets what the market will require.
In Nigeria today, a lot of people want to invest into agriculture. But what are the policies and programs that the government can do to make the sector investment friendly and promote investments in the sector?
We already have these policies on ground. The previous administration had the ATA, the Agri Transformation Agenda, and that has been transformed into what they now call Agri Promotion Strategy. And the bigger plan for that is the Economic Recovery Growth Plan for the country. The ATA has moved on to what we call the Agri Promotion Policy right now. And in this policy, it clearly separates what each sector of the Nigerian agriculture should be looking at. Government has at least tried to come up with these policies. The challenge we are having is implementation in a way that it really comes out as it has been outlined in those policies. You know, there will always be one bureaucratic thing or the other within the government circle stopping implementation of these things. This has always been the problem with Nigerian policy. We have beautiful policies, world class on paper, but who is going to implement them? Does he understand the policy? Does he know what he's supposed to achieve? Does he understand the sector is supposed to implement that policy on? These are the challenges. We usually have square pegs in round holes. If only they'll take some time to train the government personnel appropriately to understand the value chains clearly, then it becomes easier to implement these policies. Otherwise, you find them still thinking in the 1950s and they want to work in 21st century. It's not just going to work. But if we now take things from a private sector perspective, then it means they are the market drivers. They will come up with how best these policies can be interpreted, and they will also point out to the government where they still have missing gaps in the policy to cater for what exactly they need that are not in the policies. I think at the moment the buzz is now from oil to soil, so everybody wants to invest in agriculture, and that's because clearly the oil sector has gone bad. But if they do not manage the recent upsurge in price of oil properly, you see that they will now leave agriculture again and go back to oil. So we need to really shut down our minds to say the only way forward is agriculture. That's why this program, you see a lot of people in attendance. They want information, they want to understand the sector. They need to know what can they do, where can we do it, what can we get in terms of profitability, and how is the best way to go about it. That's why you see this program so full of people.
Can you give us some specific advice on innovative ways agriculture can be transformed? Like in Africa, obviously, compared to other countries, innovative ways African agriculture, Nigerian agriculture can be transformed.
Nigerian agriculture is still in the Stone Age era. We're still using cutlasses and hoes. We need to first change our technology. We need to bring in tractorization, mechanization generally across the processing realm of things. We need to improve the knowledge and skills of our farmers. Most of our farmers are aged. The young ones need to come on board. But if a young person is being told about agriculture and what he knows about agriculture has to do with cutlasses and hoes, they certainly not want to go get involved in it. So we need to make it a better venture for them. And for agriculture to work in Africa, we need to think value addition, not just produce the raw materials and ship them out to Europe and America and they sustain their industries. We don't have any, and we keep complaining, no jobs. A value chain ensures specialization in each of the segments of the value chain and also ensures that the quality at each stage improves. You cannot be a jack of all trades. And once you segment things this way, you create jobs along the value chain for everybody. It can't be integrated overnight. It takes time, it takes money, it takes expertise. So play in the space that you're most comfortable with. And if we apply this across Africa, improve your productivity, quality, add value to what you have, then you will see employment created, incomes increase, value added to our products, and then we can earn a net higher margin on all our efforts. That's going to be my advice for African agriculture to improve.
As you mentioned, a lot of people are going from oil to soil. Everybody's trying to come into the agricultural sector.
Yes.
What advice do you have for investors and youths that are unemployed that are trying to come into the sector?
For any intelligent and wise investor, whether you are a retired oil worker or a young graduate seeking to get into agriculture or any sector for that matter. So my advice is learn before you start earning. That would be my advice to people. James 4 has spent the last 5.5 years working in the market development space in the wholesale retail sector of Nigeria. We have developed returnable plastic crates being used to move fresh produce from north to south, particularly tomatoes. We have developed pack house facility operation and maintenance procedures. We have developed rental business model for plastic crate utilization. We've also developed tomato color code chart to guide farmers, and most importantly, we have developed good handling practices as a training model for farmers to ensure that the fresh perishable produce sector begins to move towards global GAP standards. In the rice sector, we have also developed the agro-service provision model to tie up the coordination part between the farmers and the processors. If we can begin to adopt these mechanisms, I'm sure we will leave a better income for the farmers and better quality for the processors and the offtake market end of things. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.